today's podcast, we will be discussing the following topics: trust, commitment, collective efficacy, mindfulness, social capital of an organization. I have read a number of journal articles over these subjects and in turn hope to relay the information to you as an educator or leader of a school or business. The concepts relate closely and go hand in hand with a successful organization. Trust and commitment to organization. Walter Anderson said it best when he said, "We're never so vulnerable than when we trust someone, but paradoxically, if we cannot trust, neither can we find love or joy." An organization that is not built on trust will ultimately collapse. If businesses or schools really stop to think about ways to encourage and engage employees, an automatic and common sense reply would be trust. In 1989, Larson and LaFausto found that trust is the cornerstone of a collaborative climate. Trust is what allows any type of significant relationship to exist between people. Once broken, it's not easily, if ever, recovered. It has been said that trust is like a vase. Once it's broken, though you fix it, the vase will never be the same again. In 1995, Meyer, Davis, and Shorman stated, "Trust itself could be conceptualized as a willingness to be vulnerable to another. This vulnerability causes us to have a candid care for others. If an employee trusts his or her coworkers, they are more willing to step out and give their opinion without fear of ridicule. And an individual that trusts in his coworkers is more willing to collaborate and share information. When they feel their opinion is of some value, they are more willing to express their opinions." This is a simple concept that families practice in their homes daily. Businesses and schools that work to treat their employees like family, or at least give them a sense of belonging, are on track for better collaboration. When someone values what we do, we are much more likely to be productive and want to work towards a greater goal. In 2006, McTavish and Kolb found that employees that felt empowered are more likely to be engaged and committed to their work. As members of a family, we have a commitment to one another. Why is that so? Well, because there's trust. This trust allows us to feel safe. We as humans want to feel safe, to feel free of threat. When an employee feels trust within the workplace, he or she will automatically show more loyalty to their employee. They will want to protect what is theirs, they will take ownerships, and want to protect the business. I can honestly say I love my job. I feel as though my opinions are heard and that I matter. I have a good relationship with my principals and feel as though they care for me on an individual level. They trust me and I trust them. Because of this, I take great pride in what I do. If a student says anything bad about the school or any employee, I make a defense. These people are my family, and we all know that the only person that can talk about someone in your family is you. I also feel as though I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm not worried about losing my job because my principals trust that I will learn from the mistake that was made. On the business side of things, I work to save paper and not waste supplies. I always make sure I turn off my light before leaving the classroom. In other words, I try to be a good steward because I care for my company. So leaders, if you want a loyal worker that loves what they do and loves where they work, try to build relationships. Encourage your employees to build personal relationships with one another, genuine relationships. When your employees are happy, they are more productive, which in turn will be better for the business as a whole. Self-efficacy. Psychologist Albert Bandura has defined self-efficacy as one's belief in one's ability to succeed in specific situations. This is different from self-esteem or self-worth in the sense that self-efficacy is task-oriented. In short, if someone believes they can perform a task, they are much more likely to be able to perform that task. Arsene Wegener said, "If you do not believe you can do it, then you will have no chance at all." Does having a belief you can do something really mean you can do it if you don't have the skill set needed? Absolutely not. But on the flip side, if you have a negative attitude towards the task at hand, you are much more likely to fail. Bandura stated, "The self-assurance with which people approach and manage difficult tasks determine whether they can make good or poor use of their capabilities. Insidious self-doubts can easily overrule the best skills." So how does this relate to teachers or business leaders? The question is, how do we perceive our students or employees' abilities to realize a task? Do we give them meaningless tasks that say to them, "I don't think you are capable of more," or do we put forth challenges for our students and employees? Bandura found the higher teacher's sense of efficacy,
the more likely they are to tenaciously overcome obstacles and persist in the face of failure. Such resiliency, in turn, tends to foster innovative teaching and student learning. So, how then do we boost our students' or employees' self efficacy? I would urge you to think back to teaching your toddler about the world around them. As they mastered simple tasks, you helped them to increase what they could do. Their excitement over the mastery of the task propelled them to try their hand at more difficult tasks. Similarly, starting off with a task in which they do not have the skill set would lead to disappointment and tears. As leaders and teachers, we should help our students learn the skill set necessary, then give them a manageable task, gradually adding in more difficult charges. Along the way, we should offer encouragement and let them know we believe in them. As a result, self-efficacy will ensue. As a faculty or company, we must believe in our company, that together we can achieve goals. One way of building the efficacy of a group is through workshops and professional growth opportunities. Also, seeing examples of success can be helpful in creating group efficacy.
Mindfulness and faculty trust. Before discussing mindfulness, let us look at the opposite, being mindless. Mindless to me signifies routine, thoughtlessness, and being stagnant. As educators and leaders, standing still will lead to destruction. Dr. Spencer Johnson, the author of Who Moved My Cheese, stated it this way: if you do not change, you will become extinct. So often in schools, we look at all we are doing right and miss the seemingly little things. For example, there are classrooms in which the majority of students exit with an A. Did all of those students obtain 90% or more of the material introduced? I would venture to say probably not. Our kids are excelling in the classroom. Our test scores are up. Are they really learning, or are they being taught how to master test taking? I would suggest to you that we as educators and leaders need to be more mindful. This mindfulness is said by Wayne K. Hoy to be playful and nimble. It avoids the anesthetic of routine by trying to notice the new and different. In a mindful school or company, the leaders are constantly on the lookout for problems. By noticing the problems, they are continually working to better the outcomes. In turn, when an organization notices problems, they become more resilient and able to better handle change. In order for an employee to point out failure, there must be a tremendous amount of trust. If an employee fears dismissal from the company, he or she is much less likely to report errors. Trust is necessary if an organization wants its people to be mindful. In Hoy's paper, School Mindfulness and Faculty Trust, he quotes Westrom of 1992. He says that Westrom describes the Redstone missile development headed by Wernher von Braun. After careful and painstaking preparation, and much to the chagrin and puzzlement of everyone, an early test of the Redstone missile went out of control. It was surprising that one of the engineers reported that he may have accidentally caused a short circuit during the pre-launch testing. Further investigation revealed that indeed the engineer had caused the accident. His openness and honesty in confessing his mistake in the end saved time and money. Costly retesting and expensive redesigns were unnecessary. Upon hearing that the engineer had voluntarily reported the mistake that had caused the out-of-control missile, von Braun sent the man a bottle of champagne. In many organizations, such mistakes are routinely hidden rather than admitted because punishment, not reward, is the typical consequence. It is in organizations that focus on uncovering failure for the sake of improvement that such open and honest behavior of subordinates is rewarded. This story to me is an excellent example of why trust is so important. If we as educators can say, hey, no matter what I do, I cannot get to this child, maybe someone out there can give us some tips. If we express our shortcomings without fear of losing our jobs, and again, maybe a coworker who's been through the same thing can offer some support. Being transparent is necessary for success, but it can only be done in a comfortable atmosphere. Oy gives the following 10 tips for being more mindful as a school leader. His tips build on those given by Wick and Sutcliffe in 2001. Number 1, make goals by looking at your failures. Make your goal not to repeat the failure. Step 2, create an awareness of weakness. Number 3, help teachers be humble and not blinded by their success. Number 4, welcome a bad day as an opportunity to learn. Tip 5, have a mistake-friendly atmosphere. Number 6, create skepticism. After all, skepticism is the opposite of satisfaction. Number 7, reinvent the wheel periodically. Number 8, embrace uncertainty. 9, Test all of your suppositions. And finally, number 10, encourage competing hypotheses. As a leader within the school, you must create an environment in which one is not afraid to experiment and fail. Encourage teachers to think outside the box as well as share their failures. So, what are some practical day-to-day techniques leaders of businesses or schools can employ to petition trust, commitment, collective efficacy, mindfulness, and social capital? One, I would suggest that you spend time with your employees. Give them an opportunity to allow their voices to be heard. Ask for their opinions frequently. Don't just ask, but let them know they have been heard. Two, give your employees opportunities to network with one another. So often teachers are stuck in their classrooms or employees in the cubicle. Encourage them to eat lunch together or build time into the workday for collaboration. Three, provide them with professional growth opportunities that they are interested in. These opportunities will provide them with the skill set to try new things. During these opportunities, tell them you expect them to succeed and expect them at times to fall short. Encourage them to get together at a time after the professional development to discuss what worked and what did not. Having an understanding of the theories mentioned today will definitely help me as an educator and hopefully in the future as an administrator. As educators, we should be focusing on building citizenship within the classroom, the self-efficacy of our students, and a good trust relationship. All of these things will help our students be more mindful in what they do. I've made it a personal goal to be more intentional in employing these concepts in my classroom.